What's up, collectors? This is Parlay J here with you today. And today I wanted to share a little bit of my hot take on the impact of the coronavirus, COVID-19, on the card collecting industry. Now, there's a lot of different schools of thought on this. I would like to say that I am a bit more of an optimist than others. This is pretty much the first time that I'm following card collecting during a really down market in the stock market. I mean, the last time that there was a major downturn in the market, crash, was 2008. I was still on my card hiatus a little bit there. And so I'm monitoring this really closely, and I'm trying to follow a lot of different factors. I mean, there's so many things that affect market sentiment in general, let alone how all this plays out in card collecting in the industry. But there's things like we're in election season, the time of year it is that it's going into spring. There's so many things that are happening that are influencing this, but the coronavirus is really serious. It really stinks what's going on. I mean, all of the events being canceled, namely Major League Baseball, spring training being canceled, and opening day being pushed back at least 2 weeks. That really got me right here, among other things. But whew, man, it is rough. So I'm thinking, how does this all play into what's typically the cycle of baseball card values on a buy versus sell side? So if you watch a lot of my videos, you know that I talk about the cyclical nature of the sales cycle, if you will, on baseball cards over the last couple of years. So as the baseball season ends after the World Series, card values drop, and then they go in through winter, and then they go in through the January, February months, and they're still low. As soon as March hits, late February, March hits, and people start thinking about baseball again, the Super Bowl is over and whatnot, card values start to creep up. Then you'll notice in spring, and then obviously in April when opening day is, they're getting significantly higher. And then as the season progresses, they get higher and higher and higher. And then there's, you know, peaks and valleys depending on the playoffs and who's in it and who's playing well and who's in the series and who wins it, who's the MVP, the Hall of Fame, like all that. It all factors in. So it's this big kind of like chart, if you can imagine it, that goes, you know, from January to December, and there's peaks and there's valleys. Now, how is all of this impacting baseball cards right now? So was in the middle of spring training. So we're in March of 2020. And when you think about it, people were just starting to get excited again. And so if you track cards on eBay, there's a lot of cards whose values already started really popping. Now, if you look at the real premium guys, what happened this year is premium guys, base card, Topps cards, suddenly spiked. And I'm talking Christian Yelich rookies, Mike Trout rookies, all base, Pete Alonso rookies, and of course Acuna. Those 4 cards at least doubled in value between December of the prior year and the current time. Now we're in this time period where things are starting to rise, and then the coronavirus starts to happen, and now baseball is at a halt. So what happens? So I've been monitoring eBay really closely, and I've been monitoring those 4 cards to see if they start to drop off. What I noticed was it's been about, a week and a half since the market took its first tank due to the coronavirus, and then it continued to tank. And so baseball card, the industry, is definitely a kind of a lagging indicator. It's a domino effect. So if the stock market starts to drop, it's not going to necessarily be like that where baseball cards drop in value. We know baseball cards are really considered a luxury item, especially if you're a collector, especially modern baseball cards, because those fluctuate in value so much. Now, they didn't drop right away, but I noticed literally today, and today is March 14th, that I saw the first chink in the armor, if you will. It was Christian Yelich rookie cards. We're selling at about a peak of 220. They were down to about 200, and Alonso's were down a little bit too. Guys like Mike Trout, those remained high. So when you think about Mike Trout, his card back in the winter was selling for as low as $850, his 2011 update base PSA 10 rookie card. Now they were selling for $2,000. I've seen it go as high as $2,500. So what do I think is going to happen going forward? It's really hard to say, but I think we're going to see a very slight dip because we saw a little bit of an irrational run up, I would call it, during spring. That's the run that I would have expected to see when the season really started in April, first, second, third week. So I think there'll be a little bit of a pullback on some of the secondary or tertiary cards, not your Trouts and your Acuñas. And those will start to come down a little bit in general in value. What I do think we'll see is we'll see some sellers panic. So if you want to take advantage of this opportunity, similar to the stock market, stocks are down a lot and some people are scared and they're panic selling that. I look at it as an opportunity to buy. So I would say get in there and try to buy them while they're low because it's the United States of America. I don't think it's going to end yet. So the economy will increase and come back. Same with baseball cards, I think, at this point. I think there's still a really good run left in baseball card value. Heck, I would like to say it's going to go on forever, but nothing lasts forever. But I think there's a good couple of years left in baseball cards being an investment opportunity for sure. So what I would suggest is monitor closely for the next month until there's announcements on when the season is going to actually start. I think that's going to be your turning point. When this whole coronavirus passes, and it certainly will, and life goes back to normal and events are being able to held in public, the turning point will be when Major League Baseball announces the day of opening day. Now, is it going to be like an April 15th? Is it going to be May 1st? Is it going to be June? I don't know. But once that gets announced, that's when interest is going to spike. And I think that's what's going to drive card prices back up. In the meanwhile, I think they're going to kind of fluctuate a little bit. I think there's going to be some sellers that are just going to hold firm because they're holding out because they know baseball is going to come back at some point too, and they don't want to take a loss on their card just for like 2 months. But there's going to be some sellers that panic and they're willing to take, just like in the stock market, they're willing to take a little bit of a loss now because they're afraid of a bigger loss later. So be that person that is on the lookout and is nabbing those deals while you can. I'm gonna say you have about a month window from the middle of March till the middle of April where comfortably, based on what baseball has announced, that at least 2 weeks of the season will be delayed, you can set up some filters on eBay, set up some search criteria, some alert reminders, and really get in there and watch. Pick certain cards and watch. And also do what I've said in the past. Set up filters even for the broadcast searches where you're just searching for Topps, PSA 10, rookie, and see what comes out of there. Because you can just track all different rookie cards and you might see something if you're checking daily, twice a day, whatever. You might see a card fly by at one price and remember it, that all of a sudden tomorrow, the next day, now it's a little bit lower. And then you start tracking that card. So what I would say in general too is that modern cards are going to be more affected by this than vintage. Your vintage cards, especially your graded vintage cards, and especially if they're awesome players, I feel like are going to be locked in value. Some things like your vintage commons, that might take a little hit, but your vintage really, high-end cards, mid to high-end cards, graded especially, I think those are going to be, A-okay. So your modern cards are the ones that are really fluctuating a lot. So keep an eye on those, but set up your tracker. Use this next month wisely because there's going to be an opportunity for deals. I don't think the market is going to crash. I don't think the market is going to fall apart. I do think the market is going to rebound and we're going to be back to normal at some point very, very soon. My guess is that come May, the market will normalize, it will happen, it'll just take some time. Bets are on for when this whole coronavirus epidemic will pass us by, and it certainly will, and hopefully we all do well, and all of our loved ones are safe and we can move beyond this like we've done many serious things in this country, and go back to just regular everyday life and go back to baseball. So those are my thoughts. But overall, all in all, things will be okay. Things will come back to normal. Just stay calm. You can wear one of those shirts that says stay calm and, you know, collect on or something like that, whatever floats your boat. But things will be good. So use this time. Use it wisely. I'd say you've got a month. Go and track some cards, make some final purchases while you've got some people panicking, but things will return to normal. I would bet on it. Thank you guys. Let me know what you think. If you agree, if you disagree, if you hate my positivity, I'm sorry for that, but I have a very positive outlook. Let me know, comment, like, subscribe. I love it when you guys comment. I reply to every comment that I see. Tell your friends to subscribe if you enjoy this content, and thank you so much for being with us. I am Parlay J. Take care, spike your hair. We'll see you next time.